Research and recording of Canadian creepies happens on the shared land and traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. A key treaty governing this territory is the Dish with One Spoon Agreement. The treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee people binds them to share and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, settlers, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. We all share the responsibility of ensuring the dish is never empty, meaning we must take care of the land and the creatures we share it with.
Welcome back, my little night stalkers, to another chilling episode of Canadian Creepies. I'm Valerie.
And I'm Mallory. And tonight, we're taking you down a dark and twisted highway, deep into the world of one of the most disturbing serial killers of modern history. His name... Keith Jesperson, but you probably know him better as Happy Face Killer.
In the late 1980s and early 1990s were a time when serial killers still lurked in the shadows. Before the rise of digital surveillance and DNA databases, many of them roamed freely, leaving behind a trail of terror. And there was one particular hunting ground that made it all too easy for them. The open road. Long-haul trucking routes provided the perfect cover for predators. Victims could be picked up in one place and discarded in another, spanning multiple states, sometimes multiple countries, with no clear connection between them.
Wild. And Keith Jesperson took full advantage of that. By all appearances, he was just another long-haul trucker, like my brother, creepy. A big guy, 6'6". Okay, my brother's not that tall. Canadian-born, living an unremarkable life. But behind that ordinary facade... I swear I got my high school diploma. But behind that ordinary facade was a violent man with a growing body count. His victims were often
like
women.
Growing body count is in killing, not banging.
Yeah,
not
no, we have to. Yeah,
because the kids are saying that
not
now.
boinking.
They're saying, what's your body count?
Yeah, not shaboinking.
What did we used to say?
Bang and
what's your
diddle.
Wheel?
No, wheel. Yeah.
But how do we used to ask for that? Oh,
Diddle,
it's probably
ew.
like, what's your number? Probably.
Yeah, what's your body count? No, never.
No, we would never say that. Anyway, continue.
How many people have you?
How many people
fornicated
have
with?
been
Yeah.
inside you?
Yeah. Ew. Oh God. Yeah.
This episode is not safe for children.
Yeah. Viewer discretion is advised. His victims were often women on the fringes of society, sex workers, hitchhikers, those who wouldn't be missed right away, which is fucking sad.
So sad. So many of these cases.
Yeah.
Have that, and it's sad. But here's what makes Jesperson's case stand out. He didn't just kill. He wanted credit for his crimes. When one of his earliest murders was wrongly pinned on someone else, Jesperson grew frustrated that his work wasn't being recognized. And so he started taunting authorities, sending anonymous letters to the press, bragging about his crimes, and signing them with a chilling symbol. A simple, grinning, happy face.
It was indeed a deadly game of cat and mouse, but in the end, it was his own arrogance, fucking right, that brought him down.
Always.
So how did a seemingly ordinary truck driver become a monster on wheels? And how did his craving for recognition ultimately lead to his capture? Buckle up, Night Stalkers, because this is the twisted tale of the Happy Face Killer.
Yeah, we're getting into it. So Keith Jesperson, just to be clear, we're counting the Happy Face Killer. We're not claiming him as ours. We're not going to claim him as Canadian.
Yeah.
But we're counting him as a Canadian serial killer because he was born here.
Born in Canada, that's right.
Yes, he was born in BC. So that's how we're counting him. We're not claiming him as a Canadian citizen. Americans, you can keep him.
We're like switching it up a little. But I mean, if you look him up, it says Canadian-American serial killer. So
right. And you know what, it counts also. This is also a very timely episode.
I wanted to learn about it.
Yeah, you did. This is an Ali request. So
yeah, it was a request by me.
I immediately obliged. And also, before we can continue on, I do have some I wanted to shout out Carrie. Shout out to Carrie, who is one of our advertisers with Back from the Dead Goods. She sent me some stories, and one of them I just wanted to talk about. This was in like a Facebook group. So this is from a person named Alicia, and it says, I know many of us, and this is like in a group. I'm not sure what the group is, but it says, I know many of us are interested in true crime. This one deserves some attention. So
cool.
this is what she said.
Okay.
When I was in school 2 years ago, my classmate suffered the devastating loss of her niece, Kiara. Kiara and her abusive boyfriend went to Mexico to celebrate her birthday. About 12 hours after arriving at the resort, Kiara was found dead in the janitor's closet. Her boyfriend was sleeping beside her, swollen hands with Kiara's blood and tissue on them. Kiara's family was devastated when the boyfriend was found not guilty in Mexican court. Their injuries didn't match. The judge concluded she was too badly brutalized for him to have done it alone, and he walked free.
Okay.
And this is an entry from her journal. Since Kiara's murder, and more women have come forward who were also abused by this person.
Ugh.
They were from Dawson Creek, BC. Sorry, I guess there must have been a photo attached to this. I don't have the photo. But it says, Kiara deserves justice. Her family deserves a fair trial. Her family hasn't even had access to the hotel security footage.
Okay.
So I just want to raise some awareness for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild. If anybody knows anything more about that,
please
send us a message.
Utilize our outlets of sending us things, yeah.
Yeah, message us, send us an email. And one more thing, because I do always pepper in some politics. I saw something on TikTok.
Politics.
Yeah. I saw something on TikTok and just wanted to sort of unromanticize the idea of Mark Carney for everyone. And just remind everyone that in Canada, as enthusiastic as I am about politics, that there is a lot of corruption in politics, and a lot of our politics are filled with like elitism people, and it's a small world up there, so they all know each other. And this is how small. Margaret Trudeau remarried and had 2 kids with Fred Kemper.
Okay.
Fred Kemper is the brother of Mark Carney's mother.
Wow.
Verlee Kemper. Also, Mark Carney is the godfather of one of Chrystia Freeland's kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a small world.
Yeah.
That's cray-cray.
Yeah. And then I have another message from Carrie, actually. There was an incident that happened in Windsor/Detroit in the 80s. And there was a book she read called The Queen's Daughter, based on the accounts of the victim, Melissa McCormick. She said it's wild and terrifying. I've written it down as a case suggestion, and we'll be doing that. And I think that is all the, like, what do we call that? Like, business I have for today.
Okay.
That's all the homework I had from today. And now we can get into...
That's okay. You did good.
Keith Jesperson. So maybe I'll read the first bit, and then you want to read the next section.
Yeah, sure.
I love this. Remember when we first started, you were like, I'll just listen. And then we're like, okay, that's not going to work. Okay. So Canadian roots, Keith Hunter Jesperson was born in Chilliwack, British Columbia on April 6, 1955.
He's a year younger than... No, he's a year older than my mom.
Ooh. Your mom's a serial killer.
Yeah.
He was the middle child in a family of 5 children. Though born in Canada, Jesperson's family relocated to the United States when he was young, eventually settling in Saley, Washington. Saleh?
Facade.
Okay, Sarah. His early years were marked by a deep sense of isolation and resentment. Jesperson was an outsider from the start, struggling to fit in socially and academically. And actually, I'm going to pause for a sec because I heard something on a different podcast. I think it was maybe Morbid. And
I like Morbid.
Love Morbid. Yeah. Shout out. When they talk about the child version of the serial killers, one of them said something like, we're allowed to make space and feel bad for the child version.
Yeah, remember we've talked about this in previous... I always have that.
Yes.
Yeah, I always have that...
we're always like, oh,
because they were innocent at one time.
Yeah, they weren't born bad.
No, and so you can feel like we're human beings, and I honestly pride myself in having emotions and being able to feel a little bit sad for the once innocent version of these horrible sadistic pieces of shit now.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
I don't know how you said that.
Yeah, it's like because they themselves probably a lot of the times went through traumatic things. They were abused horribly.
trauma.
So those little, like, it is sad. And it's also, I was watching, sorry, on another side note, there's this well-known hacker. Oh my God. He's on YouTube. Anyways, he was talking about how, like, a lot of sexually abused will go on to offend because of it's like a vicious cycle of, so then these grown-ups who are predators, it's like, you forget that a lot of them at one point were abused, and like it's sad at that point. But then it's a mix of emotions.
Yeah, it's horribly
sad.
And
his outlook was, this is such a side note. His outlook was like, he thought that the death penalty would be the most, like, it should for someone like a predator, if that's what they're attracted to try to change that is so difficult, and a lot of times fails. That, like, if you didn't, like, kill them off, then the generations to come, it'll go like one in every 4 girls are abused, or boys. And then the generations, if you don't, like, kill off the problem, then it'll be like, eventually it'll be every 1 in 2 girls will be offended. It's like the cycle just gets worse.
And who said that?
I can tell you right now because it's all on my YouTube.
Okay.
But it was an outlook that was like, wow. Oops, sorry.
And
it was an outlook that's like, it's kind of sad because it's like the death penalty is crazy. Oh my God, sorry, my brother was
That's
saying
okay.
it.
This is so funny.
Not jacket potato, hacker. It was like Hackett, jacket potato.
Hackett jacket.
He's really well known, and he always reminds me of Casey Affleck.
But it's because I've heard
Ryan Montgomery.
Okay, but I've heard that, like, what is the rate of sexually offending when you have been sexually assaulted as a child?
Yeah.
We'll do Canada specifically.
Okay. It's wild.
That's a very complex issue. Okay, but I'll read what it says. The link between, just because I'm not sure about what that guy said. I'm not sure that's
I feel
true.
like I'm not explaining. Okay, let me send you. Keep going.
Okay. The link between childhood. I think I understand what you're saying with the numbers. That makes sense. But the rate of people who reoffend of being sexually assaulted is small. Okay. It's not a high thing. Yeah. So the link between childhood sexual abuse and later sexually offending is a complex issue studied in criminology and psychology. Research suggests that while a history of CSA, childhood sexual abuse, can be a risk factor for later offending, the majority of CSA survivors do not go on to commit sexual offenses. Okay. So if that's his whole point, then the rest of what he's saying is moot, sort of. Yeah. Like in Canada, specific statistics on the rate of on the rate of sexual offending among those who have been sexually assaulted as children are not widely available. However, studies from various countries, including Canada, suggest that a minority of individuals who experience CSA go on to commit sexual offenses. Estimates vary, but some studies suggest that less than 10% of CSA survivors engage in sexual offending later in life. I'm wondering if that guy you were watching is just like loves capital punishment.
Well, he's the number one ethical hacker, and I think his outlook was, even if he didn't agree with capital punishment, and his viewpoint was like, if he used examples, I honestly kind of skimmed through it, but you get the gist of what he's saying. Like, if you think that they're going to change, or a lot of the time some of these offender, and he was also saying, like, statistics show that blah 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 blah. Well, what about the statistics that, like, are happening that you don't even, like, it's someone that aren't reported. I'm the worst at trying to articulate my thoughts. Like, someone who has a net worth that's on Google, you don't even know about the things outside of that net worth. Like, maybe they have investments in other things. Maybe they actually own property. Like, that would also accumulate to so their net worth is probably even more because of the things that you're not seeing on this list of. So I think he was saying, he was
using that as an example to equate it to, like, the
so if it's if statistics show 1 in 4 girls it could actually be worse than that.
It's totally worse than that, and we know that, and we know that, and we know that to be true.
Yeah.
But the fact is that most people who are abused as children do not reoffend. So
yeah,
we don't want to be killing people.
No, and
just willy nilly.
Yeah.
But I understand his point.
It's kind of a crazy
I see
theory.
what he's saying with like, well, that's, and I think that with some of these people, like they love to use numbers and stuff like that to like really just like hammer in the point. And it's, but like, where are these numbers coming from? I could say 1 and whatever, do that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, should we get back on track?
Let's get back into it.
Okay. I understand, but I do understand where he was going. With that.
I don't know anything about it.
I feel like you are explaining it correct.
I thought it was interesting. Like,
it is interesting.
It's like, how do you? It was sending like gay children to camps to ungay that. Like, you can't help who you're attracted to. So I think that's what also he was saying is like, you're gonna do all these things to try to change their attraction to like young people. There's a good chance that'll never go away. Right. You know, so
yeah, and I see that, but
we shouldn't be killing is never. I don't think it's ever.
I don't think we've ever, as a society, I don't think we've ever invested enough into rehabilitation, into giving true rehabilitation a chance for any member of any selected society. So I don't think killing people is ever the answer. I think if someone is attracted to children, I do think they can be I mean, that's not every case, and I'm not excusing fucking anything. I'm really not. I'm not saying that, but I don't think. But then I've said on previous episodes, if you fucked up, I'm speaking in the hypothetical scenario. Let's say but this is what these conversations do. This is all hypothetics.
Yes.
There's no simple answer to a complicated question.
Yes, I know. I can tell by myself fumbling words and like,
there's just no simple answer to a complicated question.
And I think it's too complicated for me.
You know what else I think it is? There's no black and white. There's no gray in this. What about the people who sexually offend children who aren't mentally right, who aren't aware of what they're doing? Did they deserve to die?
Yes.
I don't think so.
No. That's a good point. That's a good point. And it's also, but it's like, I think if you know that what you're doing is the outcome is going to be you hiding the truth, and if you knowing that if the police are around you're going to be nervous, you're knowing that it has to be kept secret because you could get in trouble. If you know these things and you commit the act knowing those things, like, you knew it was wrong. You knew that you could be traumatizing this person by the actions you're going to take and, put on them. Yeah. So, yeah, and then people get, and if that happened to someone's child, like if my child, I would be so angry. I'd be like, fucking off this person. Yeah. The planet would be better off with that, So it's like, it's such a you're right. It's complicated because
and it's emotional.
It's emotional. So it's like,
yeah. Because of course the parents and of course society wants this person, but you have to go, okay, but what caused this because killing this person isn't going to stop the next this happening again to another kid.
No, exactly.
It's not. There's, you know what I mean? They're everywhere. It's a societal issue. It's happening. You know what I mean? It's a societal thing.
If they knew that the death penalty though, could it keep them? Because they're like,
does it stop killers from killing?
No. That's true.
Yeah,
if they want to, they will. It's wild. Because it's such a. Actually, I was just.
And there's a lot of cases of like, I think there are a lot of cases of like a statutory rape where one's 18 and one's 16. You know what I mean? Do you call that? Should that person die because the parent of the 16-year-old, because the father of the 16-year-old girl calls that child abuse when they're in a consenting relationship? Does that 18-year-old boy deserve to die?
No. So that's such a wild. That's another road of
There are too many factors to just be like this and this. Listen, women are getting abused. It's a fucking societal issue, and I'm going to tell you the easiest way to fix it. Hold your fucking male friends accountable. Yes. When a girl walks by and they objectify her, call them a fucking disgusting disgusting pig. Hold your guy friends accountable. Allie's told me that we have some male listeners. Hi, thank you. I love you so much for being here. Please hold your piece of shit guy friends accountable for the pieces of shit things that they're doing.
Yeah, that they're doing.
You guys all hold these secrets for each other like you're in this fucking secret gang. Guess what? It's not cool.
Yeah, and
nobody likes it, and it's been destroying the planet for a million years. And need I remind everyone, no wars have started at the hands of women.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Like, we don't.
Yeah,
we didn't create the nuclear
that are
bomb.
pieces of shit out there, but
tons. But more men are pieces of shit in power.
Yeah, and we also can't stick our vagina inside your
butthole. That's right.
Yeah.
My biggest natural predator as a woman is a straight white man.
Yeah, it's
That's
true.
my biggest natural predator.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Thank God I'm bisexual, but I'm dating a man, so.
Yeah, no, I get it, but you're dating a great man.
A great man.
And a man that supports you and women. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Women's rights and women's wrongs. I love saying that now.
We could just go off.
We could
on
keep going.
So many different
we
things.
haven't recorded in a bit. I told you were going to be itching too.
I know. I'm riled up. Oh, if you like SVU, Law and Order,
love that.
Watch the latest episode. I watched it
I did watch it.
With the hospital.
Yeah, that was wild.
God told me to.
Yeah.
God's not real.
Yeah, sorry,
Tony.
You're allowed to believe in that, and I believe, you know what? Here's the thing: I will fight.
In my opinion, God's not real.
And I will fight for your right to believe in that, as long as you don't make me also believe in that.
Oh, hell
you're allowed to
no.
believe in whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh, and I respect freedom of religion. I'm very much I love being in Canada. I love that because I just don't like when religion is used to justify
horrid
sadistic,
acts.
horrid,
aberrant,
and painful, traumatic things.
Yeah,
I don't like it in that sense.
Yeah, me either.
I like faith. Like I can support faith.
Unobjectively.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
no
beautiful.
problem.
Yeah, sweet.
If you're gonna rape someone and say God told you to, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, you can die.
In that sense, and that's why I'm saying, you know what? In my opinion, God isn't real. So for you to say that, hate you. Okay.
All right.
On another note.
If somebody just tuned in, they would think that you were saying hate you and then punched me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I missed my own hand. Okay. So Jesperson was an Jesperson was an outsider from the start, struggling to fit in socially and academically. His massive size, he would eventually grow to 6'6" and over 240 pounds.
Wow.
He made a and that made him a target for bullying. Children mocked him and called him Igor because of his awkward build and lumbering movements. That makes me sad.
Yeah.
But while bullies tormented him outside the home, his real torment came from within.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
So Jesperson's father, Lee Jesperson, Les Jesperson was an alcoholic and an abusive man, both physically and emotionally. According to Jesperson, his father encouraged cruelty, praising Keith when he showed aggression and beating him for any sign of weakness.
Oh my
Horrible.
God. Awful.
His father often compared him to his older brother, Bruce, who was more charismatic and well-liked, deepening Keith's resentment. One particularly disturbing memory Keith recounted was his father electrocuting him as punishment.
No.
In later interviews, Jesperson claimed his father would hook him up to electric fencing used for cattle, shocking him repeatedly.
And let me just pause you there. This is why we have child abuse laws.
Yes.
Because where one person thinks they should be able to spank their kid, another one thinks they can do this. Please continue.
Yes, 100%. His mother, while not as overtly abusive, was reportedly indifferent to Keith's suffering, leaving him feeling completely alone. Even within his own family, Keith found little support. His siblings also bullied and alienated him, deepening his sense of disenfranchisement. He had few close friendships, feeling like an outcast within his own home.
That's so sad.
That's really sad.
It's really sad that he didn't even have that sibling camaraderie. You'd think if there was 5 of them, because it was probably 2 and 2 and he was in the middle.
Yeah, so I can already see the brewing of a person developing into a dangerous weapon.
Yeah. I love that. And we're going to talk about his signs of a budding serial killer. Okay. From an early age,
Oh my God. there's so many words in this.
Jesperson displayed classic warning signs of violent tendencies, often referred to as the McDonnell triad, which includes animal cruelty, bedwetting, and fire starting. I almost said fart starting.
Fart starting.
While there are no reports of fire starting or persistent bedwetting, his disturbing treatment of animals stands out as an early red flag. I would be like devastated if my son just started hurting animals. Thankfully, he loves them.
I don't know what I would do. Yeah, thank God.
One of Jesperson's first known acts of violence was torturing and killing small animals.
Wow.
He reportedly tied stray cats to train tracks and watched as they were killed.
That's so fucked up.
Okay, I don't feel bad for him anymore.
No, me neither.
He also strangled and beat animals to death.
That's nice.
An eerie precursor to his future crimes.
Yep, I no longer feel that. Aw.
Yeah, he lost it. Jesperson later admitted that these acts gave him a sense of power and satisfaction, a feeling he would chase throughout his life. Wow. He also had violent outbursts and fantasies of murder. By his early teens, Jesperson's violent fantasies had escalated. He had later claimed that by the age of 14, he had already fantasized about killing people. Ugh. His first attempt at murder reportedly happened around the time when he attacked a boy who had bullied him. He brutally beat the boy until he was unconscious and later bragged about how it made him feel in control. Well, yeah, he's 6'6". That's huge.
It's massive.
That's huge.
Yeah, 200 plus pounds.
Yeah. Wow.
A big boy.
Though the boy survived, Jesperson later stated that this was the moment he realized he was capable of murder. However, he kept his fantasies bottled up, at least for a while.
Okay.
As he entered adulthood, Jesperson remained an outsider. He had, if you're killing animals,
yeah,
he had no close friends, no real emotional attachments, and an increasing sense of resentment towards society. He was a ticking time bomb, waiting for the moment when he would finally act on his darkest urges. Jesperson would go on to live a seemingly normal life for years without working as a long-haul trucker, getting married, and having children. Oh, these poor kids.
Yeah.
And the new show that's out on Paramount, Happy Face, that's like from the, like, I don't know if it's true. Like, I didn't look into, I don't know.
Yeah, like how much of it's
factual, but like from the perspective of the show, his daughter works on a talk show and he's trying to get a hold of her and he calls the talk show and then he goes on the talk show and she has to like admit. Yeah, but
that's
I'm only
awesome.
on episode 2's. That's
yeah,
episode
I'm going to watch
but
them
it's
tonight.
really
I'm excited.
good. Yeah. But beneath that exterior, his violent impulses were growing stronger. His first confirmed murder wouldn't occur until 1990, our year of birth.
Yes.
But the seeds of his killing spree were planted long before that. In a childhood filled with abuse, alienation, and a thirst for power over life and death.
Cool. Let's see here.
You want to do this first bit?
Are we on part 3?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. After years of violent fantasies, Keith Jesperson finally acted on his homicidal urges in 1990. A long-haul truck driver, he had the perfect cover. Constant movement across state lines, a job that allowed him to pick up vulnerable victims with little suspicion, and the ability to dispose of bodies in remote areas. His first known murder was Tanja Bennett.
I think it's Tanya.
I like Tanja better.
I know, okay. Tanya.
Tanya Bennett. But due to an unbelievable twist of fate, another couple falsely confessed to the crime. Ooh, they took They took the
credit, which he would have fucking hated.
Frustrated that others were taking the credit, like you just said, for his kill, Jesperson sought recognition, a need that would ultimately lead to his capture.
Whoa, yeah.
We love that.
We love that. We love that for us and for the victims. Okay, so his first known victim is Tanya Bennett. Yeah. On January 21st, 1990, Tanya Bennett, a 23-year-old woman with a mild developmental disability, met Jesperson at a bar in Portland, Oregon. She was trusting and eager for companionship, making her an easy target for Jesperson's manipulation. Jesperson invited her back to his rental house, where their night took a deadly turn. Jesperson later admitted that he wasn't even planning to kill that night, but when an argument broke out, something inside him snapped. He violently... Okay, but what argument can break out with a woman who's mildly developmentally disabled?
Maybe
what
he
kind
must
of
have
argument?
been impatient as shit or something.
He was trying to kill her. Like,
Yeah.
this...
Yeah.
He violently beat and strangled Tanya with his bare hands, watching as the life drained from her body. With his massive 6'6" frame and extreme physical strength, Jesperson found strangulation easy. The act of taking a life made him feel powerful, reinforcing the disturbing pleasure he had first experienced when torturing animals as a child.
Yep.
Afterward, he dumped Tanya's body near the Columbia River Gorge, discarding her like trash and moving on as if nothing happened.
Wow.
I'm so sorry to the Bennett family.
Yeah, that's really,
and
really
Tanya.
sad.
What happened next was something even he could not have predicted.
Ooh, the false confession. Shortly after Tanya's body was found, Laverne Pavlinik.
Yeah, you got it.
Finally, shortly after Tanya's body was found, Laverne Pavlinik.
I just looked at the next name, though. I don't know how you're going to get it, but keep
Okay,
reading.
let's get a 58-year-old woman falsely confessed to the murder, implicating her abusive boyfriend, John Sosnovska.
Sosnovsky.
Sosnovsky,
maybe.
Sosnovsky.
There we go. I think we got it.
Yeah, we got it. In the process, Laverne, desperate to escape her toxic relationship, thought confessing would be her way out.
No, that's never the way
Yeah,
out.
like, come on, girl.
If you're in an abusive relationship, please, there are so many resources. Many resources.
Oh, yeah.
You can go to a library. They'll help you.
Yeah, she's probably hoping that they would fucking lock him up and throw away the key.
Yes, that's exactly what she was hoping.
She fed detectives a detailed but fabricated story about how she and John had killed Tanya.
Why implicate yourself?
Legit.
Why say you did it too?
Yeah, like
maybe she was so scared though, so she wanted to just like be in jail.
Yeah, true, protected. At first, authorities doubted her story, but she insisted, even planting fake evidence. Eventually, John, exhausted and feeling defeated, pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty.
Oh my God.
Both Laverne and John were sentenced to life in prison, while the real killer, Keith Jesperson, was still free. What? For Jesperson, this was a bitter revelation. He had killed for power and recognition, yet now someone else was getting all the credit. This set the stage for the next chapter in his story, the moment he would reveal himself to the world. Ooh, I've been waiting to get to this. Still haunting the same old fast fashion? Time to dig up something better with Back from the Dead Goods, a Canadian small business where forgotten threads get a second life and sustainability meets spooky. This isn't just upcycled clothing, it's resurrected fashion with an eerie edge. Handpicked, reworked, and revived, every piece is as unique as a ghost story whispered at midnight. And because you're part of the Canadian Creepies family, you get an exclusive deal. Use code CanadianCreepies at checkout for 10% off. Find them lurking on Instagram, Etsy, and Poshmark. Links are in the episode description. Give your wardrobe a second chance at life, ... if you dare.
The Happy Face Letters, A Killer Craves Attention. By 1994, Jesperson had killed at least 5 more women across multiple states. However, no one knew he existed. Authorities weren't connecting the murders, and he wasn't making headlines. His thirst for recognition finally boiled over. In a disturbing move, Jesperson began writing anonymous letters to newspapers and law enforcement detailing his murders and the reality of Tanya Bennett's death. Who else did that? BTK?
I think so.
Like he sent letters?
Oh, yeah, he sent letters, yeah.
Each letter was signed with a smiley face. Ooh.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Giving birth to his infamous nickname, the Happy Face Killer. One of his letters, published in the Oregonian, gave precise details about Tanya Bennett's murder that only the true killer could have known. He openly mocked the justice system's failure, stating that the wrong people were behind bars, which is true. I completely forgot that these two people, Tanya or this Laverne.
Yeah,
Laverne just made it up. Straight up was like, I'm going to jail for the rest of my life. And John was like, herself. Fine.
Yeah,
he was like, I guess so.
Yeah,
I resigned to my life.
Wow.
Jesperson, but despite this, authorities were hesitant to believe the letters. So despite
even
they were hesitant to believe that the wrong people were behind bars, because why wouldn't they believe that Laverne and John, they just committed these murders,
right?
Or they confessed to these murders. Laverne and John remained imprisoned until 1995, when their convictions were finally overturned.
Okay.
Jesperson, however, continued his murder spree.
So, like many serial killers, Jesperson had a pattern in choosing his victims and how he killed them. His victims, he primarily targeted vulnerable women, including sex workers and hitchhikers, people less likely to be missed.
So sad. But they're like not less likely to be missed because they have families who still care about them.
I know. Like, that's kind of like a...
And some people just like working in sex work.
Yeah, they do.
They just like working in sex work.
Do, yeah.
And who the fuck are we to judge that?
Exactly.
Nobody judges you because you like to be a garbage man.
Exactly.
We just thank you for your service.
Yeah, and they actually make bank money.
Yeah, we thank you for your service and continue on. These women, these sex workers...
risk their lives.
And their bodies.
And
to
some
pleasure
of them,
other people. They're not getting pleasured.
Yeah, exactly. Some victims were random, chosen simply because they crossed his path. That would be so shitty.
Yeah.
Many were struggling with poverty, addiction, and homelessness, making them easier to manipulate. That's fucked up.
So fucked up.
What a coward. So his MO, strangulation with his bare hands, was his preferred method. He enjoyed feeling the life drain from his victims. Ugh. He often lured them with kindness, offering a ride, money, or a meal. After killing, he dumped their bodies along trucking routes, ensuring that his jurisdictional boundaries would make it difficult for law enforcement to connect the cases. Jesperson killed at least 8 confirmed victims between 1990 and 1995, but he claimed to have murdered as many as 160 people, a number that remains unverified.
Oh my God.
Ultimately, his arrogance and need for recognition would be his downfall. His final victim, Julie Winningham, was different. She was someone he actually knew. That one mistake would bring down the happy-faced killer for good. That'd be creepy. Like, knowing... And once they made like eye contact and she was like, wow, I'm going to die, or you're going to try and kill me, and we know each other, that would be wild.
That would be a weird feeling.
A weird feeling.
Yeah. That would be like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's hard to explain that feeling. I mean, I've never had that feeling.
Right? I know, but it's like...
I was thinking back...
It's hard to think of what it would be because, like, we just...
So, I lived in Australia for a little bit. And when I lived there was this one apartment I lived in that had this, like... it wasn't a balcony. It was literally just, like, a windowsill. Okay. But it went out a little bit, quite a ways. And sometimes my boyfriend and I would just, like, sit out there.
Oh, cool.
We were young and dumb. And the one time I was hammered drunk and I went to go out there and I would have died.
Yeah.
Hands down.
100%.
100%. And I remember my boyfriend pulled me back in, and I think that would be pretty close to the feeling.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's because when I think about that now, I still think, oh my God.
Yeah. So close. It could have.
So close.
We wouldn't be potting right now.
We would not be. Anyway, sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
For 5 years, Keith Jesperson murdered with impunity, believing he was untouchable.
They all do, I think.
They all do. This is typical. You're not different.
No.
You're not different, dude. You're basic. You're a basic serial killer. Mm-hmm. Despite the detailed taunting letters, he was sent to Despite the detailed taunting letters he sent to law enforcement and the media, police were slow to take him seriously. His confessions were so brazen and bizarre that investigators initially dismissed them as hoaxes. After all, serial killers didn't usually beg for attention in such an open way. I don't know if that's true because BTK also did this.
Yes.
But when was he, though? Yeah. And that's a different part of the country. And the police forces don't talk.
It was around the same time. All right. Maybe not.
No, I think he was earlier.
Yeah.
When was BTK? Well, he was born in 1945, so he was 10 years older. So let's assume it was 10 years before. Okay. So still, but it's frustrating because the law enforcement agencies don't talk either, right?
No.
But Jesperson's need for recognition became his weakness. As his letters became more detailed and personal, he was unknowingly tightening the noose around his own neck. Mm-hmm. His turning point came in March 1995 when he murdered someone he actually knew, a fatal mistake that finally brought his reign of terror to an end.
Wow. Do you want me to read this part?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jesperson's anonymous letters started in 94. After he realized that nobody even knew he existed as a serial killer. He had killed multiple women by this point, and yet the murders weren't making headlines. Worse, authorities hadn't connected the cases, meaning that his body count wasn't giving him the notoriety he craved. The smiley face letters escalate. Jesperson amped up his game, sending more letters to newspapers, law enforcement, and even the FBI.
I imagine, like, if it was, like, now times, he's, like, texting the cops.
Yeah, he's just like, come on, okay, text forward.
He's using, like, text now.
Forward, add so-and-so to make it a group chat, yeah.
Yeah, he's, like, he's creating all these different Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts. Exactly. I am the killer.
Yeah, happy face, yeah.
Like Lucas McDonnell.
And he, like, goes and he's like, I want this tattoo, this happy face. Like, he's, like, trying to make it, like... Yeah,
I want this exact happy face from this newspaper article of this guy.
Yeah. The tattoo artist is just like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, where was I? So he amped up his game. Oops. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, that's where you were.
Yeah, okay. He described his kills in chilling detail, including the way his victims begged for their lives. That's, going along with Biddy that knew him. That would be so sad.
Yeah.
I shouldn't call her Biddy. What was her name?
Tanya or Julie? Julie is the one he knew.
Yeah, Julie.
When we get to her.
Julie. The way his victims begged for their lives before he strangled them, how he disposed of their bodies along highways, rivers, and remote truck stops, his frustration that police were still failing to catch him.
Oh my God, this guy just wanted to be...
Yeah, he just was like,
don't. Don't.
He signed each letter with a simple smiley face, mocking investigators and reveling in his ability to outsmart them at every turn. Wow.
Yeah, you want to keep going?
I guess that's part of it, yeah. So while the letters gained some media attention, police hesitated to take them seriously. False confessions from wannabe killers and hoaxers weren't uncommon, and Jesperson's claims seemed too theatrical to be real. Ironically, the same justice system that once convicted the wrong people for Tanya Bennett's murder was now ignoring the real killer.
Oh my God.
So jokes.
Yeah.
So Jesperson kept killing. He believed he was invincible, a phantom slipping through the cracks of law enforcement. But then he made the critical mistake.
So who was Julie Willingham? Unlike Jesperson's other victims, Julie Willingham was not a stranger. She was a 41-year-old woman who had been his girlfriend on and off for several months.
Damn.
Wow, nothing like a scorned lover, eh?
Yes.
And you say women are dramatic.
Right.
It's so funny. Like, women are so emotional, but men out here killing their wives just because they don't want a divorce.
Right. Saying that they're witches because they don't want their infidelity to be exposed.
Yeah. Women are so emotional. They met while Jesperson was trucking through Camas, Washington, and the two had an on-again, off-again relationship. But Julie was struggling financially, and Jesperson began to suspect that she was using him for money, which, never the case. You probably didn't have that much money to be used for. She was probably just genuinely trying to live. He later admitted that her requests for cash made him feel powerless, which triggered the same rage that had fueled his previous killings. Oh, so just like helping your girlfriend out made you so mad. Being a good partner?
That's so sad.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
On March 10th, 1995, Jesperson strangled Julie Willingham to death in Washington state. It was a rushed, poorly thought out murder. Unlike his previous victims, Julie wasn't a random vulnerable woman with no connection to him. She was someone people knew he was involved with. Law enforcement took notice immediately. Julie's murder led police to question Jesperson for the first time, and once his perfect cover as an anonymous predator was now at risk of collapsing.
Okay, so then after Julie Willingham's murder, Jesperson felt the walls closing in. Police weren't looking for a faceless trucker anymore. They were investigating him personally. His arrogance turned to fear, and he started cracking under the pressure. In a panic, he fled Washington and drove back to his home state of Oregon. But instead of going into hiding, he did something completely unexpected. He started confessing.
LOL.
Yeah.
LOL, Keith.
Yeah.
So Jesperson confesses first to his brother, then in writing. As paranoia consumed him, Jesperson called his brother Brad. I thought his brother was named Bruce. Oh, he has 4 siblings.
Yeah.
So Jesperson called his brother Brad. Over the phone, he made a disturbing admission. I've killed a lot of people. Brad, shocked and horrified, later contacted police knowing something was terribly wrong. But that wasn't the only confession Jesperson made. He also wrote a chilling letter to his children, admitting to multiple murders and warning them that they would soon hear about his crimes in the news. Realizing he had nowhere left to run, Jesperson finally turned himself in. I feel like he could have done that from the first
100%.
place. He could have just fucking went right in and said, hey, I'm the guy. Here I am.
Okay, so the arrest of Happy Face. On March 30th, 1995, we were just little tots then.
Little babies.
Little babies. Jesperson was arrested in
I have no idea.
Dialine, Idaho. Does that make sense?
So funny, there's a French place in Idaho.
Dialine, whatever.
I'm going to confirm that. You
Idaho. At first, he only confessed to killing Julie Winningham, but within hours, he admitted to at least 7 other murders. Is it a...
I think that's right.
Investigators were stunned. Not only had they never connected the cases, but they were now hearing the truth straight from the killer's mouth. Jesperson was eager to talk, going into chilling detail about how he had strangled his victims. He's disgusting. He looks like one of my neighbors. It's not to say my neighbor is disgusting. He's just... I know what he's done, this guy, so...
Yeah.
My neighbor's actually quite lovely. Where was I? So he talked about this chilling detail about how he strangled his victims, dumped their bodies, and outsmarted police for years. But despite his claims of murdering up to 160 people, authorities were only able to confirm 8 victims. Yeah, that's a huge jump, but...
Yeah, that's... I feel like he's lying about that. I feel
160.
like he's lying about that. Jesperson pleaded guilty to multiple murders, receiving several life sentences with no possibility of parole.
Excellent.
That's lovely. Today, he remains in Oregon State Penitentiary, where he will die behind bars.
Fuck yeah.
But even in prison, Jesperson continues to seek attention, writing letters and giving interviews, still craving the recognition he so desperately wanted when he started killing. He's a killer obsessed with fame, but forgotten by history. Well, I guess not, because now they're coming out with shows and stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
But he can't... make any money from that.
No.
I think all the money goes to the victims.
Yeah.
Unlike other infamous serial killers, Jesperson never became a household name, but he kind of is now.
Yeah.
Despite his taunting letters, his disturbing confessions, and his chilling smiley face signature, he faded into obscurity. Something that likely haunts him more than any prison sentence ever could. Until now.
You know, I was just thinking, talking about the death penalty. It's like, I would actually be more scared. I wouldn't even... people are like, I'll do this to avoid the death penalty. I would be more scared of being in, Gen Pop and getting shanked or raped or, shanked and raped. And then... Or raped and shanked and then dying.
Yeah.
A brutal beating of a death than having an injection and falling asleep.
I think genuinely some men and, probably, elitist people don't understand that there are things worse than death.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas we know there are. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do the next little on 5?
On 5, yep. So his confession and claim of more murders. So he was arrested in 95 after the murder of his longtime girlfriend, Julianne Winningham. Initially, he denied involvement, but within weeks, he started confessing to multiple murders. He admitted to killing Winningham and eventually detailed 7 more murders. However, he later claimed to have killed as many as 160 people, a number that remains unverified. His first known victim was Tanya Bennett, who he murdered in January of 1990. After luring her from a bar in Portland, Oregon, he strangled her in his rental home and dumped her body. Jesperson expected to remain unknown, but what happened next was unprecedented. Someone else took the fall for his crime. Right.
We're sort of just recapping.
Yeah, we're just recapping, yeah.
I'm looking to see if I have to.
Okay.
I'm going to go down to...
Psychological?
Yeah. But I want to read... So, Pavlinac and Sosnovsky had spent nearly 5 years behind bars for murder they did not commit.
Right.
And this case...
Yeah, what happened to them? They just
got out.
Okay.
It serves as a stark reminder for the dangers of media influence, false confessions, and poor police work.
Right.
The rush to solve the case led authorities to ignore crucial inconsistencies, allowing the real killer to remain free and continue killing for years.
Right.
And then should I do the next part and then you'll do the one after?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Jesperson's psychological makeup is similar to that of other serial killers, but his need for recognition stands out, as we've been talking about. His lack of remorse, he showed no empathy for victims and even mocked them in his letters.
Mm-hmm.
He was narcissistic. He is narcissistic, I should say. His desire to be known and feared fueled his decision to confess through anonymous letters and later direct confessions. He had manipulative tendencies. He was skilled at deception, allowing others to be blamed for his crimes before finally revealing himself. And he enjoyed the media attention. He relished the headlines and even embellished his kill count, claiming up to 160 victims, though only 8 have been confirmed. Jesperson's confession was not an act of remorse, but rather a twisted form of self-aggrandizement. He wanted the world to know he was a killer.
Crazy. So after confessing to multiple murders, Jesperson pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to multiple life terms without the possibility of parole. He is currently incarcerated at Oregon State Penitentiary, where he continues to seek attention. He has written letters to crime journalists, investigators, and even strangers detailing his crimes with chilling nonchalance.
Oh my God, I want to know. You've gotten a letter from the Happy Face Killer. Please let us know.
We want to hear, yeah. Despite his claims up to 160 victims, authorities have only been able to confirm 8. Many believe that while Jesperson was undoubtedly a dangerous and prolific killer, his claim of such a high number was exaggerated to maintain a sense of infamy. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely just was like saying that.
Yeah.
The case of Keith Jesperson serves as a dark example of how easily false confessions can derail an investigation.
Crazy.
How media pressure can push law enforcement toward wrongful convictions, and how some killers crave notoriety almost as much as the act of killing itself. Jesperson's story remains one of the most bizarre and disturbing cases in true crime history, a blend of calculated murder, wrongful convictions, and the twisted psychology of a killer who wanted the world to know his name. And now we're going to do our current case.
Okay. See.
Current case, go. Yeah, I decided to do current case instead of whatever, because I've done Creep of the Week a couple times.
Yeah, that's cool.
So while it's current, but you'll see. While this case dates back to 1991, its unresolved nature and the context of rest stop violence bear relevance to our discussion on the Happy Face Killer.
Right.
So it's unresolved, so that's why I consider it current.
Yeah, of course.
So on June 28th, 1991, another 90s case, at approximately 12:55 a.m., Gord and Jackie McAllister of Lindsay, Ontario, were resting at the Blind River Rest Stop in Ontario.
Okay.
They were awakened by a man claiming to be a police officer who demanded they open their vehicle door. Upon entry, the assailant, armed with a .22 caliber rifle and a 20-gauge shotgun, demanded money and valuables. During the confrontation, he fatally shot Jackie and wounded Gord. Gord managed to escape and sought help, but tragically, another traveler, 29-year-old Brian Major, arrived at the scene and was also shot and killed by the assailant. The perpetrator fled and has never been identified.
Wow.
Do you want to do the relevance?
Okay.
Or do you want me to do it?
You can just do it.
Okay. The Happy Face Killer, Keith Jesperson, was a long-haul truck driver who exploited the transient nature of his profession to commit his crimes, often at rest stops and along highways. The Blind River case similarly involves a violent crime at a rest stop, highlighting the vulnerabilities associated with these isolated locations. And it was the 90s, so nobody had cell phones.
Right.
But both cases underscore the potential dangers present in such settings and the challenges law enforcement faces in investigating crimes involving transient individuals. Despite extensive investigations, the Blind River Rest Stop murders remain unsolved. This case continues to be a haunting reminder of the potential perils associated with isolated rest areas, and the difficulties in solving crimes involving transient suspects. If you have any information related to this case, please contact the Ontario Provincial Police or Crime Stoppers. Your information could be crucial in bringing closure to the victim's family.
Imagine someone was like, I do. Beep, 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 beep.
Imagine. And that wraps up our dive into the disturbing case of Keith Jesperson, the so-called happy face killer. It's terrifying to think how easily he hid in plain sight, using his job as a long-haul trucker to hunt victims across multiple states.
Literally. And the fact that someone else actually went to prison for one of his crimes, that just makes it even more infuriating. It's a reminder that justice isn't always as straightforward as we'd like it to be.
Exactly. Jesperson wanted fame. He wanted recognition. But at the end of the day, he's just another predator who got caught in his own arrogance. And while we know about the 8 women he confessed to killing, it's impossible not to wonder if there are more victims out there still waiting for justice.
Which is why we always say, stay aware, trust your gut, and of course,
stay creepy. If you liked this episode, make sure to follow Canadian Creepies wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a rating and a review and share it with your fellow creeps.
And if you've got a creepy story, a case you want us to cover, or just want to say hi, send us an email, please, at canadiancreepiespodcast@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Instagram at Canadian Creepies. Come join the creepy little community we've got over there.
Until next time, keep your eyes open and your lights on.
And stay creepy.
Don't let the bed creeps bite. I think that's your line.
Thank you to Kyle McDonnell for editing and composing our theme song.